Next time on Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Resonance.
She's got attitude, and I think did we talk a little bit at last episode about the fact that even second, 23rd century. What is this?
This is on the 24th century, I think.
24th century. Okay, so 300-400 years from now, people are still talking smack about women. It just kind of
like what example?
So O'Brien says, "You've never worked with a female Bajoran before, have you?"
Oh,
Come in.
He does, doesn't he?
He does say that. So anyway, I'm hoping that that will progress a little quicker than that, but.
And now the conclusion.
And who's going to be paying for all this holosuite time? I guess I am.
The wormhole does bring them our way, doesn't it?
Everyone wants a piece of the new frontier.
And I'm sure you've already tried to sell it to a few of them.
You don't know what any of this is about, do you? You work here. You see these people every day, how they live, and you just don't get it.
Are your lobes tingling? They must be. It's either that or you're listening to Audio Umox, the definitive, I tell you, podcast about Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I am your co-host, Simon Van Gelder.
And I'm John Christopher.
My other co-host, which is redundant. John, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well.
Well, we managed to get through the first two episodes, which were the expository emissary episodes, plus the probably overly long history and reaction to Deep Space Nine.
Yes. Well, we'll work through that, and maybe we should revisit that episode at some point in the future and take another look at it. Maybe that would work.
That's a good idea. I mean, we have 176 episodes, I believe, something like that.
Should keep us busy for a little while.
We aim to do this weekly, with time off for some holidays and or personal crises, or if our therapist is out of town, whatever. But we do intend to do this. But again, John and I, if you didn't tune in the first couple episodes, we are some longtime Trek fans. I, Simon, am probably a more diehard DS9 fan, whereas John is rediscovering DS9 after he basically watched it on deployment when you were in the Army, correct?
I did, and I would say, honestly, a bit more passive a viewer of the show.
Right.
Now, as I've started to dive back in, am truly becoming much more interested in the show and its characters, and I think I have a new appreciation for it.
Cool. And what's interesting is, what you'll get as a listener to this podcast that you might not get on other shows that are trying to tackle Deep Space Nine is that you'll have somebody who's a diehard fan who is very solidly in that column, and you'll have somebody who's kind of looking at it with fresh eyes, with an appreciation. Don't get me wrong,
right.
But perhaps a little more of a
there's some newness. There's some newness.
The objectivity of the new. And I don't even know, I just made that up. But the authenticity of the new.
Yes.
Speaking of which, all of that became before this episode of the podcast, which is, of course, Audio Umox. And if you don't know what Umox is, well, we can't help you with this. You're old enough to know better. That's all I can tell you. Everything became before this episode is Past Prologue. And, oh, my goodness.
This right in.
Happens to be the episode we're talking about. And Past Prologue, of course, that is taken right out of Shakespeare, correct? Jean-Luc Picard himself would say that was from the
Tempest, right?
Tempest, that is correct.
How about that?
Show me the magic. Show me the magic. The Tempest. I always think of John Cassavetes. Do you remember the remake of that with Molly Ringwald and John Cassavetes? He would just kind of look up at the sky and go, "Show me the magic. Show me the magic." Nothing like a Brookman accent doing Shakespeare-y kind of "Show me the magic. Show me the magic." Anyway,
very good.
All right. Well, as is our custom. And we're kind of finding our way here, folks, and we're trying to get our format nailed down, but we kind of want to share the plot a little bit, and we'll just talk through it. A couple of buddies having a couple of drinks, and but before we get started, so John, what's your Tranya tonight?
My Tranya is a delicious spiced rum with some Coca-Cola.
Lovely, very nice. Yeah. Is it tasty?
It is. It's a nice change of pace. I'm typically a vodka kind of guy.
See, that's what I thought. Yeah, it's unusual.
But decided to change things up. Wanted something a little more of a dessert drink. So rum and Coke is a nice fallback. Kind of reminds me of Jamaica. A little trip that we took.
We took our cadets to Jamaica last summer, together. And that's it's interesting because here we are recording this around the end of April of 2017, and it's been unseasonably warm. Thank you, chlorofluorocarbons, and the mind does turn to rum a little bit at this time. When it's warm. And my Tranya tonight is the classic. It is a vodka martini. It's actually my variation on a Vesper, and I'm drinking. I'm actually cheaping out on the vodka, to be honest with you. It's 360 vodka. No, it's not. I'm sorry. I beg your pardon. It's 3 Olives vodka. Okay. It's okay. It's cheap. It's okay. With a hint of Lillet and a little bit of Gordon's gin. It's kind of a mixed. It's kind of my muddled up version of a Vesper martini, and I'm on my second 4-ouncer right now, and I'll finish it up as we record. Sound good?
And drinking it out of a beautiful Nick and Nora, right?
A Nick and Nora style martini glass. Thank you, sir. What are you drinking? Right. Your what is it? That a rocks glass?
Just a good old rocks glass. Yeah.
Get your rocks off there.
That's Joe. Right. Nice heavyweight glass that if I get too drunk and drop it on the floor, it's going to handle it.
Well, there you go. Well, all right. Well, I think that
now we dive in. We've got the
Tranya out of the way. Why don't you go with the show, and we'll just go.
Oh, okay. So just as a general plot rundown, is it Tone Loc or Tone Los?
I thought it was Tone Loc. He's got the funky cold.
There's some funky cold bajorans.
Bajorans going on. So.
Yes. So he's a Bajoran terrorist. He's during the occupation
of the Cardassians. That neck action. Mm.
Yeah. He asks Sisko for asylum on DS9, and the station's last Cardassian inhabitant, Garrick, former spy for the Cardassian government, proves an interesting mystery to Dr. Bashir. So that's that was what TV Guide posted in 1993.
Oh my God, that's the tease. That's actually
was the teaser for the episode.
Well, let's break it down. So Garrick, played by the great Andrew Robinson, who by the way was one of 3 finalists for the part of Odo.
Oh wow, I didn't know.
Yeah, did you know that? Well, it was between Andrew Robinson. Garrett Graham, who, if you are a fan of Phantom of the Paradise, he was in that, and Used Cars and a lot of great movies, and of course Renee Auberjonois, who got the job. It's so funny how the cast of Benson seemed to reconstitute the Star Trek series. But Rene Auberjonois got it, but Andrew Robinson was up for it, but he got Garrick, and Garrick, who is just a simple tailor, yeah, right. Come on. Yes. The more somebody protests that they're simple, the least.
Just plain Garrick.
Just plain Garrick. Give me a break.
Yeah.
But I think young Bashir Alexander Siddiq, or he was going by Siddiq El Fadil, which is his real name at the time. He changed his name like 3 seasons in. He's the nephew of the great actor and killer of Kirk, Malcolm McDowell.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Soren, who killed Kirk on the bridge, not of the Enterprise, but the metal bridge in the desert. Yeah. That's his uncle. So I think he does a nice job in this open of being jumpy and a little funny with Garrick.
He is. I'll probably chat about that a little later because, he's supposed to be like a super genius kind of guy.
We don't know that yet. We don't know that.
When Bashir walks on the ship, they act on the previous episodes. They have him come across as being a guy who could have had any assignment
true
in the Federation, and he chose this because it was the piece of shit job, and he wanted to be part of the
frontier.
The new frontier. There you
Fair
go.
enough.
Okay.
But so if you want to just cover the plot and then we come back to it, that's fine. I don't want to interrupt you. If you want to just
so that's it. I just wanted to kind of jump into the episode. And,
well, I do.
And so opening scene is Garrick meeting Bashir at the Replimat, right?
But not Quark's Bar. It's at the Replimat, where you're probably more likely to have a breakfast or a lunch instead of a.
Okay, so I just want to kind of get into this. Okay. Again, I'm the more passive viewer. I don't have the in-depth knowledge. So is the Replimat like, what makes a Replimat replicator better than the replicator that's like just in your room? Is this just like fast food? It's just replicated.
Now that's a good point. Now, I was going to say, I thought you were going to say what makes it better than just going to Quark's Bar. Well, there's markup, obviously, Quark's. So
yes.
Pay me more.
Yeah.
But I think the idea of the Replimat versus just eating in your room is social. You can be social and see people.
He's eating alone. It's like a. Can you do your laundry at the Replimat?
And I'd hate to hit the wrong button and end up chewing on like Morn's underwear. But you make a good point. I don't know. That's a good
because
point.
It did seem a little odd because he was eating alone. It makes sense to go to fast food.
Sure.
To meet someone there, but it just didn't make a lot of sense to me. But again,
I think Bashir just. No, I'm not. By the way, your point is well made, but I think Bashir is just looking for ass, and so he's not going to find ass in his room because he couldn't find his own ass with both hands at this point. He's so naive. Yeah. So I think he's just out to be and be seen. He's new and he's hot and he's young.
That's
and
true.
People
watching.
Yeah, people watching. So here's the thing about this. So Garrick literally puts his hands on his shoulders, introduces himself, sits down. He's creepy as hell.
Yeah. So was he trying to pick up? I thought at first he was trying to pick up Bashir. I'm sure we find out later he's not.
No.
And Bashir certainly would rebuff it. He seems much more interested in Dax. But
he doesn't want a scaly ass. He wants he wants one with spots. But here's the thing: did Garrick pick Bashir because he views him as young and naive and malleable and a good courier of information, and an inadvertent but good courier of information from Garrick that he wants to go all the way up the chain to Cisco? I'm thinking that's what the situation is here.
Right.
Because I think if Garrick had showed up at the Commander Cisco's table at the Replimat, Cisco would have been like, "Get the F out of here," right? I mean, he wouldn't have talked to him that way. He wouldn't have listened.
It would have been strictly professional.
Yeah. Whereas Bashir has got a little bit of naivete. He's wearing his heart on his sleeve. I think that's obvious. So,
but it's a close enough link that he knows that anything that is discussed will get back to
Yeah.
Cisco.
He's well, frankly, I mean, not literally, but he's I think Bashir is what's known as a useful idiot. Right? I mean,
Yes.
you know that term. I mean, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He is an maybe an unwitting
Conduit.
yes, of information. Yeah, that
Okay,
makes sense.
fair enough. So we get through the opening credits, which, you know, and of course, Tone Loc requests some Funky Cold Asylum.
Yeah. Well, before we get there,
I'm sorry.
I have some trivia that you may not be aware of.
Oh,
Oh my. So this does not happen often. So do you know why one of the reasons Garrick was a tailor? It was at the suggestion of the producer as an homage to the Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Well, I did not.
Or is that wrong?
I don't.
I had read that. I had researched that.
I've never heard. Why was Ilya Kuryakin a tailor?
Peter Allen Fields,
Who wrote
was
this?
also a writer on A Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Oh, now was that Ilya Kuryakin's cover as a tailor, or was
it was the secret
Napoleon's
entrance? The secret entrance to U.N.C.L.E. headquarters.
See, you
was
told me
in
something fresh and
Bill
new.
Floria's tailor shop.
I thank you. I learned something new. That makes sense.
So there, that just kind of goes full circle.
Because he could have been like running a Cardassian Tasty Freeze. I mean, instead,
Absolutely. And based on what he's wearing, him being a tailor is a bit of a stretch.
Well, I mean, I want to know how many 76 Buicks had to die for him
for his shirt
to create these masterpieces. I mean, really, you better be having a pretty freaking climate-controlled environment if you're going to wear a Garrick suit, by the way, because I mean, it's basically burlap off of a car seat. I mean, actually, it's more like a Krakow car seat cover you would have got back in the day. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, the vinyl one?
The ones that cover the ripped vinyl, the ones you buy at the store with your Krakow auto reverse cassette player. You would also get the seat cover. You know what I'm saying? All right. So here's the thing. So yeah, and Tone Loc requests some Funky Cold Asylum, but here's the other thing. I got to ask you this before we get to the. We're not even to the credits. But here's the deal. So O'Brien. Okay, so Tone Loc is being shot at by the Cardassians, by Gull.
Right.
Flock of seagulls, whatever his name is. All right. And how did O'Brien get? They're beating the shit out of this ship, right? How did O'Brien get him transported off when the shields are up?
Maybe his shields had failed.
Is that what? It's not explicitly
that would
said.
That would be my assumption.
You're kind of retconning this a little, but that's okay. And actually, my question's smart-assy. But seriously, it's like
he's O'Brien, man. He can lock onto anything
except Keiko.
Except Kate Cole.
Because Kate Cole, she shuts that.
Yeah.
All right, so then we get to the opening credits, and I just got to say, just as a word about the opening credits, it's never more apparent that they need a ship bigger than a runabout to flex their muscles, both when, like, the Cardassians are, like, shooting up people all around them.
Yeah.
It's like, that they could have launched the entire fleet of rivers named runabout, and the Cardassians would have swatted them away like so many gnats.
Yes.
So then the opening credits are.
I'm flying the
Ganges,
the North Canadian
River. I'm flying Boggy Creek at you. Look out! No, but I mean, it's like, and the opening credits, they're all majestic and all, but they're boring and they're static, like, I don't know, like a space station. Yeah. I mean, it's all just so, and I mean, I'm going to go ahead and jump ahead. A few years down the road, they figure out, it's a space station. Maybe the opening credits should show, like, ships flying to and from during the opening credits. Because right now, what you're getting in the opening credits is just Deep Space Nine, these majestic, beautiful, theme, but no ships coming in.
Well, I will give them a little bit of leeway, because the next episode, we'll get into it, has to deal with the isolation of that Deep Space Nine.
Oh, you think that this was a kind of a subliminal,
some subplot? Yeah.
subliminal isolation tip. All right.
There you go.
I'll let you-
Or maybe they just didn't, forgot to program that on the GIFs.
on the isolinear gifts. All right, go for it. Continue, sir.
Okay, so O'Brien beams Tana aboard. He requests asylum, and then Goldenar demands that
Dinar intervene.
that he turn him over because he's a member of the infamous Konma.
I had to turn on the captions to understand what they were saying every time they said that, by the way.
It's the wrath of Konma.
Apparently.
Yes.
Which is what? Like a
So that was like an insurgent group. I'm thinking this was recorded, filmed in the 90s. So something like the what were some of the Irish separatist groups?
Well, there's Sinn Féin.
Sinn Féin, yeah, something like that.
There was Paddy O'Malley's Corner Bar, and yeah, I'll stop there.
So there you go. Yeah, we don't want to offend any listeners of Irish descent.
Gotcha. So all right, so we've got Tone Loc on board. We've got pissed off Cardassians, and then
right. And so Cisco says, I'm going to take this under advisement. He's playing the cool cat and just not wanting to. he doesn't want to just jump to a decision. He has a pretty good idea what he's going to do, but he's not going to jump to any conclusions immediately without getting a little bit more information.
You don't have a haircut like Cisco's without being a cool cat. That's all I'm going to say.
Hey, there you go. I've got one of those.
Gotcha. Well, no, he's not. He didn't. No, he has a haircut though. Early on, he's got like the.
Does he have a little less?
No, you got to think about it. He's got not a full head, but he's got a head of hair early on.
Okay.
Remember?
All right.
Yeah, it's not till later when he gets he goes the full hawk.
Goes hawk. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right. So
the Von Mar stores are apparently causing problems here.
So Tana gets sent to he's in pretty bad shape, and they send him back to have Bashir take a look at him, give him the once over.
Not pretty.
And so at this point, Kira's pretty ticked off. Okay. And
when is she not?
I mean, I'm sure it had something to do with the fresh haircut. But
which she needed because she's a freedom fighter. She didn't have time to style her hair. Just ask Nana, visitor.
Nana.
That was her idea. No, it's. I saw her at a Trek Con. She pronounces it Nana, but I always wanted to call her Nana.
Na. Okay.
Oh.
So in her fit of anger, Kira has she Skypes Admiral Rollman.
Yes.
And that's just bad news. You just don't do that to your boss.
You don't go over the boss's head and Skype Admiral Rollman, even if she is Spock's wife. Hey,
that's another piece of trivia that I had that I assumed that you knew, but anyway, yeah. So
Susan Bay. Sorry, buddy.
No, it's good. It's good. You're the man of knowledge. So so after this conversation, it looks like everything's going cool. Kira and Tana are really start discussing and debating the Federation as an occupying force. I found that pretty interesting.
Yeah, but the Federation is not an occupier, Bajor, but Tone Loc thinks it is, but
exactly.
It's not. Yeah,
it's not. It's there as a facilitator,
partner.
but one man's facilitator is another man's occupier.
Or Hot Saturday Night.
There you go.
Saying.
So they have this discussion, and it becomes obvious at this point that, to me at least, that Tana is really not leaving Kanma.
Or shopping at Von Ma.
that he's
Might be a regional joke.
That he's whether or not he's violent may be debatable, but he's definitely still wants Bejor to be separate from everyone.
Oh, you're pronouncing it like beef stew. Because Patrick Stewart was all about Sir Patrick Stewart. He was always Bejor. And then it's Bejor. But even Tone Loc, I noticed, pronounced it differently 2 or 3 times during. It's like they didn't really quite have that down.
Yeah.
Just like here's an easy way to remember.
I'm from the planet Earth.
Yeah, Earth. I mean, here's how you remember it. What do you like to eat with your breakfast? Not bacon, but bacon. That's how you remember. Not Bejor, but Bejor. Or Bejor. There you go.
Okay, very well.
Yeah, very good. So, yeah, they're having this out. And has Goldinar come and yelled at Picard, or not Picard, Sisko yet? Are we there yet? Sorry.
I think I may have missed that. So, yeah, I mean, there was obviously the discussion about the fact that Tana is a, he's killed a lot of people, and he, he's just an all-around bad dude. With
really great Corbin Burnson hair from L.A. Law. He kind of has that L.A. Law Corbin Burnson look, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
Yeah, he's got that going on. Yeah. So.
But then we cut to Lursa and Bator.
Oh, wow, the Dura matter. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So this
is the first appearance of the Klingons, by the way, in DS9. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask, who do you think is hotter between Lursa and Bator?
It's funny because
I kind of cheated and looked.
You went and looked at him. I did too. You did the same thing I did. And you is it Bart? Who would?
It's got to be Gwyneth.
Walsh.
Yeah.
Over Jane or what's her name? Marsh.
Barbara March.
Barbara Marsh. Yeah.
Yeah. For sure. Now they're both Canadians, right?
I think so.
So they're
They both had the Canadian soccer mom thing going at the time, but now they're in their 60s. But I mean, I would say that Walsh has got an edge, but that's piggish of us to say. But I mean, but the Dura matter is the Dura matter.
Okay, so here's the other thing I wanted to bring up, which is the 4 degrees of separation between them and Alf.
Oh wow. Let's walk it back, man. Let's hear.
Okay,
here we go.
So here you go.
Hey, Willie.
So Lursa and Bator are a member of what family?
Duras. Duras of Duras.
The Duras family. So there's a commercial brand of melamine that goes by the name of Duras.
Duras. Okay.
Duras. Okay. But melamine is a material compression molded, used in making plates and dinnerware. What's another common retail name for melamine?
Melmac.
Melmac.
AKA the homeworld of
Alf
and his kind.
Hey,
Willie, have a little tabby pot pie. Right.
So that's the 4 degrees of separation. The Duras sisters are probably related to Alf in some way.
I thought you were going to tell me that the actresses was on Alf. No, you totally took it into another direction.
Completely different direction.
And I want to stipulate that right before we see the Duras sisters, by the way, from Melmac, Sisko puts his hands on Kira.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's angry at her. He finds out she went over his head, and he grabs her by the elbow and slings her around.
Yeah.
It's been said by a lot of people. I've heard this for years. Oh God, the first few seasons, Sisko is so milquetoast. I'm like, he grabbed a badass like Kira by the elbow and swung her around and said, "You do this again, I'll snap you back into next week or whatever."
He said, "I'll put your head on a platter."
That's what he said. Yeah, that's what he said. He said, "I'll have your head on a freaking platter." And it's like,
next time you go over my head,
right?
I'll have your head on a platter.
Dude, he.
Yeah, he was establishing himself as a commander. I think one of the things I appreciated, and we'll maybe get into this a little deeper later, but from a character standpoint, his character has a lot of depth as a leader, where he's not just the guy who commands and orders people around, and he's not a pushover. He's somewhere. He has a lot of depth. And even here in episode 3, we're seeing that. Where
did that speak to you as a former officer in the military? Were you that way?
Absolutely. Well, I tried to be, but yeah, exactly. That's it makes him more human, where a lot of those roles previously were not as human.
A little heroic. Kirk is not the right one to compare to. Well, it's interesting because I've also been a leader of people myself in various roles in corporate life, et cetera. But I think the point is that about Sisko is that what was Sisko prior to this? He was a first officer on a starship, but he was also, after he lost the starship because of Locutus, and we're not going to go into that, but
right.
The ship he was first officer on got lost. He went and he basically managed the shipyards at Utopia Planitia. He was a manager of engineers and people. He kind of took a side trip from command. He was still commanded, but he was managing people who built ships.
Right.
So he was a manager, and without getting too boring here, but so it's interesting that he's taken out of that position, which is relatively cushy and probably, more about pushing paper and, okay, let's get things done on time. Mm-hmm. And he's sent out to, at this point, one of the hot spots of the Federation. And now all of a sudden he's got to ignite some of that hot stuff he might have inside him occasionally to deal with people like Kira and to deal with all the variety of strange and interesting aliens he'll deal with on Deep Space Nine.
Right.
So that's why I made a note that, here's Kira sticking to her typical Bajor strut, right? Yeah. She's going to be all like, you don't understand, Jack, blah, blah, blah. And he's all like, he grabs her by the elbow and he swings around and goes, I understand more than you effing think. And if you do that again, you're going to be sorry.
Right.
So I just thought that was interesting to see that even a mild-mannered seeming commander like him has a point. You don't want to hit.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Strong commander.
Right. And then so we go from Lursa and Bator, guns drawn, and there's Odo ready to arrest them, of course, because that's Odo's go-to, by the way. If somebody farts in the elevator in the turbo lift, Odo's like, I will arrest you.
Yeah.
Commander Sisko, you don't understand to maintain order and no farts on my ship. And so.
I can't make a human nose.
Really.
But I can turn into a fart.
It's so funny because he regressed. It's like the first dozen episodes, he has a much better approximation of a human face, and then all of a sudden they get a higher makeup budget, and he can't anymore. But anyway, I digress. And so sorry, go ahead.
So he disarms them, and and they're like, who are you? And he's like, I'm the dude who's got the orders. I'm the dude who's telling you to give him.
I'm wearing the brown booties of a Bajoran security chief.
I got the badge.
Did you see those booties where he tucked into them, man? I hate that. Yeah. That is the worst.
Okay, so he disarms them. They're like, okay, we'll give up our. It looks like
disruptors.
But they look like they were stolen from Johnny Depp off of an episode of Pirates of the Caribbean. But real long handle things. But
that's some blunderbusses. Man.
Yeah. So then we cut to Quarks. So.
Oh my God.
Okay, so.
Did you see? Okay, I hope you saw what I saw. But go ahead.
So, if you want to click on screenshot, as Lursa and Bator.
Oh, I think you go. Okay, wait. Where do I find this? I gotta find this. It's screenshot. Okay, he sends me his notes, and he's got like an Excel spreadsheet, and he's like, "Don't look at this tab.
Don't look at this column.
Oh my God, you got this something. Okay, let me read you. Wait. Okay, all right. Go ahead and tell it, and then I'll tell you.
So I just wanted to say that I am absolutely loving the kernels that they drop into Quarks. It's always something crazy. So in the first episode, they had the guy playing the spa rocks, the Japanese spa stones with the dildos, and then of course Morn is showing up. They haven't introduced him yet.
Morn!
But in this episode, as Lursa and Bator are walking by,
with their cleavage intact,
with their cleavage. So the lady who works at Quarks has the under cleavage. Lursa and Bator have the center cleavage.
Definitely.
But anyway, they walk by, and there's these two guys having what appears to be a fist bumping contest of some sort. I don't know what's your take on what they're doing? Is it like arm wrestling, only it's fist bumping, or they seem to have their fists together and they're trying to push as hard as they can?
I mean, I'm not surprised, but I'm pleased that you caught that too. 'Cause it would have been easy when you're taking notes watching a show to, like, not catch that. So here's my notes: guys in bar fist bumping for beers. And that's my note. And I was just like, I was going to be like, lord it over you if you had not noticed it. So kudos, my friend. I mean, folks, they're like doing isometrics against each other with this fist bumping for beer thing. And it's like, wait, let me look at this again. You got the screen cap
the
here.
The screenshot looks like, like a fierce game of rock, paper, scissors.
You've got like a humanoid dude, then you got a guy who looks like a Oompa Loompa on steroids in a green outfit, and they're just doing this. Yeah, you can just know that the assistant, the AD says, all right, guys, do something like a game of strength or feat of strength in a bar, but don't be too obnoxious, but keep it, So they probably started with each other's balls cupped in each other's hands, squeezing really hard. We can't go with the ball squeezing. So they went with the fist bumping. But no, dude, congrats on that.
And then you can see right behind him, you can see Lursa's cleavage.
Her cleavage, yeah. I'm seeing it coming into view. It's hoving into view, as they say. Yeah. So, yeah.
So I love that as
enhance my evening, Doctor.
Comic relief.
Yes.
It's just it's funny. So.
And so Bashir goes to Garrick, and Garrick says, "Oh, enhance my evening, Doctor," which I thought was also. It's a line I'm going to use on the wife, by the way. Enhance my evening.
Well, again, that goes back to.
Is he picking?
I think Garrick secretly. Yeah, he has a thing for Bashir. So.
Well, I mean, he's a pretty cute guy.
He is a cute guy. He's a cute guy.
Got the accent going on in the green outfit.
To cup him in the tailor's room.
Cup him, yes, and see if he dresses to the left or the right. That's. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah. Hey, whatever makes you happy.
It's the 23rd century or 24th century.
Absolutely. And there's no judgment here. I'm just.
We're on a space station far from home.
I'm just trying to figure out, what are their inherent underlying drives, desires, those things.
Who are they? What does that mean?
The people in the members of.
I thought you meant the Cardassians.
No.
I think sunning themselves on a rock is a big deal for them. I think, and with their tongues kind of lashing it.
Yeah.
Okay. So Odo, so then Lursa and Bator, we're skipping ahead to get to
yes, yeah, we've got to get through. So Lursa and Bator meet with Tana in apparently this is like the dumpster area of Deep Space Nine.
There's like coleslaw and stuff.
and apparently that's the place where it's like infested with all sorts of vermin, because having a rat walk by just doesn't seem to startle anybody or seem out of place in any way.
And why not a Cardassian vole? Because the station, you'll find out later, is infested with Cardassian voles, which the Cardassians left behind as a little present for Sisko and crew. But they went with a rat. Probably because early on in the show, the writers, producers were like, 1, we don't want to CGI a vole or create a puppet. 2, we want to make sure people understand it's like a rat, like you would see at any warehouse. Okay, I get it. So, fair enough. Okay. So they do that, and this is this the point, though, where it goes back to going over my head again, or did I already miss? Maybe my notes are out of order.
Okay, so Lursa and Bator are demanding a payment for
From
something.
Tone Loc, right? Yeah.
For something.
Some
They
kind of
don't.
funky gold.
They don't say what
No.
it is, and then they walk away, and one of the rats turns into some kind of gelatinous silver liquid, and
They
then,
realize it's an Academy Award.
and then it is it's Odo. So
Oh.
so Odo has been doing his Templeton impression.
There you go.
You know, he can do a human nose, but he can't do Paul Lynde. He can do... so there he is.
Oh God.
Center square for the win. I can't do a Paul Lynde impression either.
It is funny that you can. Oh my God. If only Paul Lynde had lived as long as Charles Nelson Riley.
Ah, there you go.
So, because Charles Nelson Riley guested on the X Files and Millennium, and if Paul Lynde had guested on DS9, oh, it would have been perfect. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so that was the end of that scene. So Odo now knows something's going on. That Tana is he's got something brewing that's unsavory, and
The Replimat couldn't make taste good, and so Odo would tell Cisco this, right? He turns in himself, and I noticed, by the way, that they really should have shaved Odo's neck a little better. The way it's
I think
lit,
it was some remaining rat hair.
I think it was. So anyway, so then we go to Garrick's place, and there he is, slaving away, making clothes out of old car seats. There's a nice shot from the director, though. If you look, they shoot like the opener here in the mirror. Have you noticed? Did you notice that? It's shot in the tailor's mirror. So you see Lursa and Bator and their boobs, and then you see Garrick in the mirror for the first 20, 30 seconds of the scene, which is kind of an effective way to shoot the scene. Oh, I thought it was good. And that's where you get Garrick telling them, they're like, screw you. And he's like, hey, everything's negotiable. And he does like the let us jazz hands haggle. Did you notice that?
Well, say what I liked, having gone to Asia a couple times and having to negotiate when I'm buying.
They do jazz hands?
No.
Oh.
I negotiate when you're buying souvenirs and things, and you're shopping in the street markets or they don't talk price. They type the price into a calculator and then show it to you.
What's that all about?
So it seems to be just the methodology for negotiating. So you then take the calculator and you hit the clear button and you put in a different number and you hand it to them and you say, is this good enough?
I know what you did, though. You typed it where it'd say upside down boobs every time. I know you.
Yes, boob. I want boob. Give me a shirt that shows under boob and center boob.
Center boob. And we'll negotiate on the side boob. I can't figure out what the title of this show will be after recording already this far. Is negotiate on the side boob maybe the title of this episode? But go ahead.
Okay, so
But
anyway,
let us.
So we jumped ahead. We didn't. We really didn't go talk about Garrick inviting Bashir to come get a new suit. And then
skip
Bashir,
that. I'm sorry.
Then Garrick invited Bashir. It said he was
Wrongly
basically
invited.
First, they're hanging out at Quark's people watching, which
enhanced my evening.
Yes, yeah, and said, "Hey, you look like you need a new suit," which that's kind of a left-handed compliment at best.
Yeah, and you don't
especially
see Quark
coming from
this,
a Kardashian.
Right. With the I've got a 72 Impala. See, let me just tell you,
you look great.
I mean, you're skinny guy. I could make you 2 suits out of that. And I want to tell you something. It's the best fabric Detroit has to offer. I think you really enjoy it. So, no, but you're right. I'm sorry.
Okay,
and then he's also asking Bashir to enhance his evening.
Yes.
Which is with the haggling jazz hands. That was later.
There we
go.
go.
Ahead.
Anyway, so Bashir talks to Cisco, and Cisco's like, "Yeah, you could use a new suit."
And he's like mildly, but it's so funny because Cisco's like so many years ahead of this kid, and he's like, he's back to what? Useful idiot. Now all of a sudden Cisco's like, obviously Garrick has made the young doctor a back channel. Okay, we're good. So he's like, I think you could use a new suit. Yes, so you're right. Yeah, so there we go.
So that leads us back. Okay, so
I'm sorry. So then we get to where Garrick with the Duras.
Bashir is hiding in this room with what appears to be a Chess King suit or
a very hideous frock of some sort. Chess King, could have been better. It's hideous. It's like gray.
Bacharach.
There you go.
Anyway, yeah. So
all it needed is what you had back in the day with like the yellow 501s.
Yes.
To go with.
Well, I also had the Chess King with the red bodice and the black sleeves.
I don't even know how to talk to you that you know what bodice is.
Shoulders.
I mean, you just said bodice. Are you a U.S. Army veteran or not?
I am.
How many war zones were you in? And you just said bodice to me.
I survived the 80s.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. So Bashir's like, hiding behind a curtain in this glory hole. I mean, in the dressing room, while the Melmac sisters are threatening Garrick, who does. Sorry, I jumped ahead. The let us haggle jazz hands.
Right. So he's trying to. Lursen Bator, obviously, they've got a couple things going on here. They're trying to get gold from
pressed Latinum.
Pressed Latinum.
Yeah.
From Tana, but they're also trying to sell him out on the side to the Cardassians. So after they get their gold from Tana and his cohorts, they want to get some gold pressed Latinum from the Cardassians for giving him up, and then they're trying to raise money so that they can take over the Klingon Empire, right?
Well, I mean, they're all just trying to keep up with the Cardassians. That's what this is.
There you go. So Bashir hears all of this, and they're basically trading gold-pressed Latinum. They find out that Tana is trading gold-pressed Latinum for Bellitrium. Right? Isn't that the stuff he's wanting?
Is that or Betamucin? One of the others.
Metamucil?
Yeah, that too. It's something. And So
here's where you and I were talking briefly earlier. There's got to be some kind of a Star Trek related term for calling bullshit.
Okay.
So you think of those episodes in Star Trek where they have two believable things and then one that just is complete bullshit.
It's kind of like when Captain Kirk would say, well, you'd be right up there with the tail of the Hun, Hitler, or Promix from Cestus 3.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Okay.
Gotcha. And it was obvious that maybe the third one was wrong.
Was wrong.
Was fake.
Or it was completely made up anyway.
Bullshit, yeah.
Okay, so here's my thing. So Dr. Bashir, wouldn't he, as a medical doctor, have taken some rudimentary chemistry classes as he was learning medicine? Or was he able to sub-tricorder repair for chemistry class?
I'm going to say that's a rhetorical question. Let you continue with your
okay, so
thesis.
Just follow my train of thought here.
Yeah, thank you, Samuel Cogley. Please continue.
Okay, so the
Jeez, John Christopher.
Apparently Bellitrium plus an antimatter converter equals intergalactic car bomb, right?
There you go, intergalactic car bomb. I like that. That's better than painful gas.
Okay,
go ahead.
Yeah. So
venting plasma.
But wouldn't a medical doctor have enough understanding of chemistry to know that Bellitrium was some kind of bad juju stuff?
I mean, I'm gonna give him the benefit of a doubt on this because he's so naive and young. I mean, if we want to retcon this and go all the way to the seventh season and look back, yeah, he should have known probably. But I'm gonna give him the benefit of a doubt. And there's all, we're gonna have to always throw out the advance the story card here,
Okay.
But because clearly, okay, wait, if Garak, let's say, had approached Miles, that would not have, because Miles, who had fought as a soldier against the Cardassians before he became an engineer, that's a non-starter. He wouldn't even talk to Garak. He would have just said a big F you and give him the two fingers.
Yeah.
So that's not going to work, right? Dax has lived too many lives and knows better, so she wouldn't have fallen for his bullshit, right?
Sure. Yes,
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Kira is just too busy with her Bajor strut to talk to anybody who's Cardassian at all. I mean, if you have a neck like a Cardassian, she is not talking to you.
Yeah, the Cobra Kai forehead.
You mean Spoonhead? The Spoonhead.
Yeah. There you
go. Yeah. So, and then you have Cisco,
Spoonhead.
Spoonhead. It's too bad we got the measurements mixed up on that Spoonhead thing. I put inches instead of feet. All right. No, but seriously, so think about it. The cast of characters, it goes down. So the naivete works for Garak.
Yeah.
With Bashir, with our man Bashir.
Right. And he seems to genuinely like him.
Who likes who?
Garak likes Bashir.
And Bashir likes the attention and the intrigue because he isn't getting anything from the ladies. So he's like, if I can get a little bit of that Spoonhead action.
Yeah, I'll work with it, whatever I need to work.
Whatever it takes, right? 210, 220, right?
Yeah.
Bashir even says at one point, "I'm a doctor, not a," and he doesn't get to finish. But there's a little bit of a throwback, a little bit to Bones there. You got a little bit of the bone. So.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, so then it goes over to, everyone's kind of in. Everyone knows what's going on.
Yeah.
And so they're now going to create this, what I consider an incredibly dangerous sting operation to catch Tana.
Yeah. Well, you get Sting in anything because he's mercurial, that guy. I mean, Fields of Gold's all laid back, but trust me, there's a synchronicity too just waiting to pop out.
Fields of gold pressed latinum.
There you go.
So they create this sting operation where they can't just arrest the guy. So they've got to make sure that he's got not only the bellitrium and the antimatter converter. So they're going to go, let him go on this runabout and get all the stuff all at one place and then arrest him. So
right.
when he's now got all the components of a giant bomb in his hands. So
let's let him run with it.
Yeah.
But so he gets on the Yangtze.
Yeah. Meets the Klingons.
Right.
Gets his bellitrium.
They kind of beam in, beam out, and they're gone. But Cisco, his hoopty is the Ganges.
Yes.
Which has a big old fat weapons pod on top. The Yangtze might have the hydraulics,
Yeah.
But the Ganges has some firepower.
Yeah, nice.
Did you notice that? Did you notice the difference?
Not a whole lot, no.
There's a big weapons pod on the roof, which is like a photon torpedo thing that you don't have on just every little runabout. That's
got a roof rack.
He's got a roof rack with some shotguns
like
on
a Thule, like a Thule roof rack.
What?
That's one of those aerodynamic roof racks that us middle-aged people put on top of our Chevy Equinoxes when we're driving across country.
Is it made of Melmac?
It's made of, I'm sure, plastic of some sort.
Gotcha.
I would say carbon fiber, but it's probably just plastic.
All right. So you have two runabouts, one a little more heavily armed than the other. Tone Loc and some major Kira are on one of them on the Yangtze, and she's figured out that he's not. He's got the Corbin Burnson L.A. Law hair, but he's not a cool dude.
Right.
And then you got the Ganges with is that Cisco and Dax? Is that who's on that? I'm trying to remember.
No, it's O'Brien, right?
Cisco and O'Brien, right? He's got the Chief.
Yeah, yeah. They make chase.
And Chief's just happy to be away from Keiko, Because let's face it, Keiko is not
She's
very
not.
nice.
Well, she's just not. She's unhappy right now. There's
When
not
is she
a,
not
not a
unhappy?
lot of plants, and we'll get to that in Man Alone, right? Okay.
You're right. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Okay. She's not happy. Yeah. So he's trying to get away from the Keiko.
Shut your wormhole.
And so the Ganges makes chase. They're about 2 minutes out. The Kardashians appear out of nowhere.
That damn Chloe and Hey, can I just take a little? Can I just say, by the way, how lazy the whole franchise is with the Bird of Prey? First of all, and how tired I am of. Okay, first of all, just so everybody understands the context, I believe the Bird of Prey, the model, the Klingon Bird of Prey, the ship,
Yes.
was actually supposed to be a Romulan, because if you go back to the original series, the Bird of Prey was the Romulan ship. They created a Romulan Bird of Prey for one of the movies, and then they decided, we need to make it as Klingons, not Romulans. I don't remember why. So they just changed it to the Klingon Bird of Prey. And then they used that freaking model, which is really, it's a little bit bigger than a scout ship, yet it was kicking like Starship-sized ship ass, like it destroyed the Enterprise in Star Trek 3. And then it's just like, I miss the old big cruisers, like from the original series and the first motion picture. And I mean, you don't really see big, heavy Klingon cruisers again till what? Star Trek 6? So I just had to say, I'm sick and freaking tired of that model of that stupid Bird of Prey, which is supposed to really not be that big a deal, but like they make it look like those ships are like the shiz, man.
Well, I mean, the fact that they can kind of disappear, that's pretty cool. You got to admit.
No, it is cool, but don't you think they got a little lazy with the Bird of Prey?
Sure.
I mean, they're basically, if you were to kind of equate it with like today's modern American Navy, the heavy cruisers would have been like the battleships, and like the Bird of Prey would have been like a destroyer. And all we see all the time are these freaking destroyers. It's like, a destroyer cannot beat. And then you go up against a Galaxy class Enterprise. Well, that thing is like a serious battleship.
Right.
And a destroyer is generally not going to beat them. But you see it all the time. Yeah. I know it's one of my. See, this is one of my nerdy Star Trek fan things.
Pet peeve.
Yeah, it's one of them. It's one of many we will get to.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, good to know. Good to know.
So I'll just shut my wormhole.
Well, I would say at DS9, it's plenty big enough to get the job done against a couple of these little runabouts, right?
Fair. You know what? You make a good point. And really, the Melmac sisters, they're really not part of the official Klingon Navy or whatever.
Exactly.
They are not an armada, by the way.
They're just looking for some tabby
scare
pot
North
pie.
Korea by going to Australia. I mean, they're not an armada in that way. Sorry. Go with the tabby pot pie, did you?
Okay, so
thank you.
So then the Kardashians make chase. Kira's in this little runabout with Tana and figures out that he wants to blow up the wormhole, not blow up DS9. And so she decides to magically hang a left there and just go through the wormhole instead of hovering right in front of it. And so they go through.
We've all made that move, right?
The hard left.
Well, I mean, instead of just hovering in front of it, let's just go through it.
Just dive in.
Well, I mean, there's only so much hovering in front of it that can be tolerated.
Yeah. So okay. So here's another problem I have.
Oh, is this another bullshit thing, by the way?
Yeah. It's been covered 1,000 times.
Here we go.
Why are there no seatbelts on Federation spacecraft?
Okay, I'll trump you on that. I'll go one up on that. Why are there no fuses in the panels? Why does everything blow up? Why do we have overloads constantly? I mean, why don't things just go, instead of a big explosion and with smelly smoke, go clack, and then somebody gets up and goes, Mr. Spock, I'll be right back. I've got to go flip the breaker. I mean, why doesn't that happen? See, I'll trump you. Seatbelt.
That's good. Both are good. Both are good. So it goes through. They go through the wormhole. They appear on the other side of the wormhole.
Yeah.
And
starfish look there.
Already there's another problem I have which is why don't the wormhole gods
That's the problem.
disarm the spacecraft? Why do they let
They
them
don't
through?
don't always intervene.
Okay.
They don't. The wormhole aliens, aka the prophets, don't always intervene.
Okay.
They it's kind of like if you're a believer in God in the real life, God allegedly hears all prayers but does not respond to all of them.
Okay.
So perhaps it's the same deal.
Okay.
I'm not trying to be blasphemous or anything like
Little
that.
Garth Brooks, thank God for unanswered prayers kind of thing.
Oh man, whoa.
Maybe.
I hadn't thought about that in a long time.
All right. They get through the wormhole. Bomb explodes safely on the other side of the wormhole in the Erdan system. Erdan system. Am I close?
That place where it happened.
So here's another, again, just a little quirky thing.
Yeah.
They spent all this time previously talking about how deadly this bomb is, how dangerous it is, but somehow magically on the other side of the wormhole, it's okay, and when it blows up, it's not damaging anything.
I mean that got me too. I thought, did I miss something here? Because I
So and maybe it's only if they blew it up at warp speed that it would cause the spray of radiation that would cause problems. But if it's in kind of one localized area, I don't know. I just have to suspend disbelief, I guess.
I think that might be a suspender.
Okay.
It's just one of those deals.
Okay, so finally, Ganges flies through the wormhole in pursuit. They catch up and then give Tana this ultimatum: either
you give him the old tomato, man.
surrender or be turned over to the Kardashians.
Yeah, hot turnover.
And spend the rest of your life counting lights, right? Isn't that how it works with?
That's with the card. I mean, that's right. And if you like your eggs over easy or poached, tough shit, because you're gonna eat them raw, buddy, and you're gonna wear like a rag.
Yeah, and we're gonna see your ass,
mate.
So Tana is visibly scared after all the scars he had from some Cardassian implants that he just gives up. So
well, wait, no, there was a fight. There was a battle where Kira's kicking ass, and she would have won sooner if she just punched him in his orbs. I mean, did you notice that? Like, she's pulling his leg, literally pulling his leg, and she could have just. I said to myself watching it, I was like, Kira, make your hand into a fist and punch him in the ghoulies, into his orbs of prophecy. He will collapse like a cheap,
like a Garrick suit.
Those things stand up on their own. I mean, they're made out of like thick shag carpeting.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
fair enough.
So he gives up finally and calls Kira a traitor and
whatever.
Then
it's
he
take your
walks off.
Corbin verse in here, and then there's a continuity error in there. Did you see that? Did you catch that other? This is
what's that?
You back on the Ganges, you see Cisco and O'Brien on the comm, like Major, blah blah blah, and you look over O'Brien's shoulder. There's out the window. There's the other runabout that Kira and Tone Loc are on. It's not the Yangtze, it's the Ganges because the weapons pod is visible.
Ah, I did not see that. But I did find it funny that the other runabout pulled in front of it like it was a cop car trying to keep
with the lights. There's no lights on or anything.
He pulls in front of it like you can't go backwards or go up or down.
It may be space and shit, but and by the way, I'm wearing my body camera and I mean you're totally right. It's hilarious. It only would have been better if they had had the spotlight, turned over on them. Like, what are you all doing in there?
Yeah.
What do you?
Keep your hands where I can see them.
You kids get your clothes back on and go home. This is not safe.
Now on to commentary.
So let's just ask you, John.
Yes.
Okay, let's I'll just let you. Let's just go first out to how many strips or bars of Latinum you give this episode. First of all.
Well, I wanted kind of general commentary.
Well, you can do whatever you want. I'm just saying we need to arrive at.
So we're saying out of 5 strips, right?
Out of strips or bars?
Bars. Let's go bars.
Yeah.
Okay. A solid 3, almost a 4.
Okay.
Almost
and
a 4.
Your reasoning, please.
Okay. So the biggest is being introduced to some great characters. And so this episode really tried to set aside. This episode really was designed to help add color and flavor to those characters. I like how the character of Garrick as this maybe spy, maybe not character. I like how he messes with Bashir and how he's feeding information selectively back to the Federation from Cardassia.
Mm-hmm.
I like Odo. I have a little bit of challenge with Odo as the enforcer. It's trying to establish him as this enforcer, but I'm sure he's capable. I'm just not aware of too many bullies named Renee. Is that
true? I think you'll get there, but yeah.
And then the Kira and Cisco dynamic is interesting, and I liked how Cisco, as we discussed earlier, was establishing himself as a good leader, not just a commander, but a leader, a person who would do the right thing, even if it was painful, even if it was not the politically right thing to do. And I like the dynamic between the two of them, where he's trying to allow her to be this liaison to Bajor, mm-hmm. and represent her people while still keeping a fairly strong command. So that I like. Now, the negative in this episode, I still have a tough time with Bashir, for being such a smart doctor, him being as naive and as gullible and slow as he was portrayed as being in this episode. I thought was a bit much, but it was.
And and I forgot to ask if you had a favorite scene or quote from the episode too.
Okay, so my favorite quote was early on, Garrick to Bashir when he says, an open mind, the essence of intellect. I thought that was just
That's really
interesting, and it was also politically expedient for Garrick to compliment him to help help expedite that connection and the communication flow to Cisco that it needed.
I couldn't agree more. I see, and the thing that you find with Andrew Robinson's portrayal of Garrick, which they left a lot of it up to him to really flesh out the character, is that there's such texture. I mean, he'll say, "I'm but a simple tailor," but we all know that completely means the opposite. I mean, but he sells it, and it's not like. I mean, it's on the edge of cheese at places, but for the first time, for the introduction of the character, for a recurring guest star who didn't know if he'd be recurring or not, let's be honest, coming on, he did a I think Andrew Robinson, whether he admits it or not, was like, okay, I got passed over for Odo, so I'm going to kick ass as Garrick, and here's how I'm going to show you. And I cannot imagine Andrew Robinson being Odo now, and I can't imagine. Well, I definitely can't imagine Rene Auberjonois. Well, as much as I think he's a good actor, being an interesting Garrick.
Right.
I think it worked out the way it should. And Garrett Graham, by the way, who does make an appearance in DS9, we'll talk about in an upcoming episode. He's very good, but I think ultimately the casting was proper. My favorite line was back to Garrick as well. Please, Doctor, enhance my evening. I mean, it's just like, I'm going to start saying that to the wife. It's going to be like, it's Saturday night, and she'll be like, kids in bed, and I'll be like, well, please, dear, enhance my evening.
Enhance my evening.
And she'll be like, oh, well, here, you can have the remote. Good night. So I would say on Bars of Latinum.
Yes, please.
1 to 5. I'm with you. I'm going to give this a solid 3.5 bars, maybe 3 bars, 2 slips or something like that. And I'm going to tell you, what puts it over for me is Garrick. But I think you're right. I think it does yeoman work in continuing to build relationships. I mean, Sisko and Kira, I loved, and I don't think I fully caught how he really was furious with her before, and how he took her by the arm and spins her around. I mean, it's interesting for a guy as reserved as Sisko. O'Brien gets some moments. You don't see a lot of Dax. You don't see Jake at all. You don't see Quark at all, by the way.
Right.
We're in Quark's bar, but there's no Quark.
Yeah. I think you see his brother, right?
Do you see Ron? Does he get to speak?
No speaking. Right. Just briefly when Morn gets up.
Yeah, and you got the guys who are doing the fist bump for beer and all. But I think I think it's disappointing that Larsa and Vitor did not get to interact with hardly anybody except the guest actor playing Tone Loc and Kira and Odo. She doesn't really get. Neither one of them got any time with
Sisko.
The Sisko, the Sisko is, So I'm going to say I'm with you on this. I think we both agree. So that is, without beating it to death, that's Past Prologue. And
very good.
I find actually kind of first real episode after you get past the expository emissary two-parter. Yeah. It was not like Voyager, Star Trek Voyager, which I thought started out with an extraordinarily good pilot and then just immediately went into hot
lost in space mode.
Oh my God, hot garbage, just terrible. I think DS9 started out very strong with a good pilot, and then they kept going. Not to say that there won't be some down moments, which we'll get to.
Sure.
Speaking of which, I'm not saying it's a down moment, but next up, we have a man alone. And Ibadan, he's a criminal Odo has dealt with before, returns to DS9 only to be murdered shortly after, leaving our changeling detective Odo to be the prime suspect. Jake and Nog's trouble may prompt Keiko to do something helpful for the station's children. Yeah, so the B story on this one is a total snoozer. If it's Keiko and Jake and Nog, it's wow. So let's hope Odo and this Ibadan guy, Ibida from Taxi or whatever, let's hope that works out. I don't know. Do you remember this? Do you remember that episode at all? Just from
I do, because I as you may recall, these were recorded in a different order than they were aired. So I watched this one ahead of Past Prologue.
Right.
Because
and the hair, is Kira's hair different in this coming up one then? Is it long?
It is, I believe, but
I bet you it is.
I don't remember her appearing much because the focus is on Odo, on O'Brien and Keiko and
Jake and Nog.
And the boys. Yeah.
The boys. Yeah. Well, one thing about Nog, he's all ears.
There you go.
So, folks, we hope you're enjoying Audio Umox. We hope your lobes are tingling. We want to remind you that if you want to connect with us outside of the Audio Umox show, it's easy to do. Go to Twitter if you're on the Tweetmeister thing. It's at Umox Podcast, and that is, let me spell it for you, and you can always run this back if I'm going too fast. It's Umox, which is OOMOX Podcast, PODCAST. It's at Umox Podio. It's at Umox Podcast on Twitter, and you can get an earful of the best, worst, and merely amusing from Star Trek Deep Space Nine from my dear friend John Christopher and me, Simon Van Gelder. You just lobe up for our podcast. We are shooting for a weekly show. We're not asking for any money from you. We're not asking for anything more than your time. I will say this. I'm going to ask once on this show, and then I'm going to just not pound it because we need a little time to get our sea legs. But if you feel good about the show, a review on iTunes is always welcome. If you don't like the show, a review is not necessary.
Perfect.
Truly. Yeah.
Perfect. And if you do like us, recommend us to your friends as well. Share us.
Get on the Twitter and follow us on the Twitter and let us know you listen. And if you don't like the show or you think we're full of shit or whatever, let us know. And John and I are looking for ways to improve. Neither one of us, well, we both had some experience in broadcasting and some other things, but we're certainly open to improving the show to make it more entertaining. Well, again, I am Simon Van Gelder, and he is
John Christopher.
And you've been listening to Audio Umox. We hope that you will lobe up and join us for our next episode, which you'll be able to find on your favorite podcasting tool. I don't know. It's been a long night.
Yes.
Yeah, iTunes, Stitcher, etc., etc. We hope you live long and prosper, yada, yada, yada. And, okay, anything else?
That's it.
All right.
And if you want to fill in the blanks on your own, feel free to.
Sounds good to me.
You do it right to find the best deals around. Lowe's is here to help with savings throughout the store. Shop Cobalt Tool Days